Hey guys, Adrienne back with Sheroes and Shenanigans. Yay! Back from vacation and back from my head cold, or at least like 80% back from my head cold. So, okay, today we're gonna get into tip 4. So, tip 4 is putting the dogma in your doghouse. So, what do I mean by that? Well, all right, so all of these tips that I'm trying to give you are tips that are quick tips. So granted, the volunteering one isn't that quick. You do have to work that one into your schedule and be held accountable for that. Morning. Good morning. I am talking to a camera, hoping that there are people on the other side of it. Okay? Can I be out there in a minute? I love you. Good morning. I love you. Morning. All right. That's my kid. All right, let's see. So getting back to it, putting the dogma in the doghouse. What do I mean? All right. So the tips are meant to be quick. They're not meant to take up a bunch of your time. So we've got busy schedules. We've got things we want to do, people we want to help, families we have to run, businesses we have to run, lots of different things. So tip 4, how did it start? Well, I would say that it started actually when someone told me, if you're in the doghouse, build a mansion. And I thought that I was like, right, mind blow, because it was kind of, we've all been in the doghouse, whether it's with somebody else or ourselves, and it was kind of like, wow, build a mansion, like in here, build one in here, so that when I'm being sent to that doghouse, whether it's by me or someone else, or sent to my timeout, it can be something beautiful and something that I enjoy and something that I want to actually go to and return to. So, okay. So how did I build my doghouse? How did I build my mansion, basically? All right, so I started with the mirror thing, because that was I had to do that one time, started working. And then that, losing judgment, change that one thought, ask that one question, is it working? Okay, that started working. And that one's been with me forever, but that's a good one to throw in. And then volunteering, that was just something that I knew I wasn't gonna hold myself accountable for building this mansion. I needed some sort of accountability for it, because accomplishment is what builds pride. Pride is what builds confidence and makes you feel better about yourself. So I knew I needed accountability, and I knew that I wanted to feel better about me at those times. So the best way to feel better about me was do something for somebody else. Good morning. Anyway, so the next thing that I did, and this kind of started, it still kind of started a little bit with tip 1, but I got into it more after the volunteering. And that was really when that line just kept running through my head, build a doghouse, or build a mansion, not build a doghouse. And I had been given a suggestion of a podcast or a guided meditation from my sister-in-law, and so I started listening. And the reason why I'm not real big on guided meditations. I've meditated and taught yoga and dance since I was 20 years old, and so I've always been very good about personally meditating, and meditating is just a form of listening to what's going on within. However, when I was in the middle of those really disparaging moments, I'm the type of person that I could meditate for hours and think 10 minutes passed. I mean, I love meditating, but I knew I didn't have that kind of time. And I also knew that for me, especially after doing it for so long, I also knew 10 minutes of me sitting quietly by myself just wasn't going to work for me, because my brain was going too crazy. So I really love that there are guided meditations out there, and I really loved that. I really liked how this woman did it. So if you want links to her, I have no problem sharing those. So I started with that, and I had a lot of time I didn't have a lot of time. I make a lot of time to research. I really like to research. I especially love researching psychology and things like that. So, but ways to build your mansion. Now, lots of people go to counseling to build their mansion, and I think that that's great. I went to counseling a couple of times. It was actually before I really started doing the work, and I also knew I want my mansion to be built from within. You know, I want it to be something that I can return to, and that, you know, when you're going through things like counseling, at some point, sometimes you might quit. You might quit with that counselor. Maybe you can't find a counselor that works for you. There's lots of different, you know, reasons. And if you're going through, you know, despair, and then 3 years later you're doing it again and your counselor's died, I don't know, you've moved away, whatever it is, there's something to return to when it's you that have built that mansion versus looking outside for something to build it for you. Now, I did look outside. I looked to the internet. So, but, and that was just something because I know, you know, with the internet, we can find tons of things. And even if, you know, years past, you can a lot of times find old things, or you can record them, download them, keep them, whatever it is. So, so I started with the guided meditations, and those were about 5 to 10 minutes. And it was really nice because it just kind of went in line with a lot of the things that I thought. But one of the meditations that she had said, and one of them, she had said something about make it sacred, you know, take a ritual and make it sacred. Now, rituals, when you think of rituals, you think of religions. Well, religions have this dogma or these rules because not for everybody, but for a lot of people, they work. So rituals can work. And the difference is keeping that ritual within. Make it your ritual. It doesn't have to be somebody else's ritual. It can be yours. So I researched a lot. I started researching on various psychology things. One of the things I ran into was EMDR. So, and that was for people who've experienced big amounts of trauma, then especially for veterans, then EMDR was something that they use, and that was, from what I gather of it, it's basically where you can go to a counselor and they'll wave their finger in front of your face and your eye follows the finger, and it helps to kind of reconnect both hemispheres of the brain. So, but there are quite a few different audio clips that you can listen to that do the same thing, because when you shut your eyes, then they play the sound on one side and then they play it on the other. It kind of goes back and forth, and it eventually forces your eyes to move, and it kind of bounces things back and forth. So EMDR tracks are something that I also picked up. But my ritual became, you know, something that I was able to fit into my schedule. And even with journaling, I journal? Yeah, I journaled, and I wrote poetry, but I'm the type of person also that, like meditation, I could start journaling and sit there for 3 hours and keep going and think 10 minutes passed. So I did, you know, the grateful logs and things like that. Name 3 things that you're grateful for. I had an app, so that helped because I would go into my app and I could write those 3 things down, and then also journal within that. Again, it wasn't something that I opened every day. So what was the next easiest thing for me? Was it driving to my counselor, which took 45 minutes. So that's an hour and a half right there. And then sitting there for an hour and rehashing a bunch of stuff that I was like, I really don't want to rehash this. I want to move. I want to trudge forward. So, so let's see. I don't know. I probably saw my counselor 6 times, and then I just kind of realized, like, I can't. This is taking about 3 hours of my day, and I don't, I've got other things on my plate that I really want more than I want to do this. So, or more than I want to add this in. It wasn't that I don't have the time. I found the time. It was that it wasn't going to be a long-term mansion building process for me. It wasn't going to be something I could sustain long-term. So what could I sustain long-term? I could sustain listening. I couldn't sustain hours of meditation every day like I'd like to do. And at the beginning, I also knew that my brain was too filled with toxic shame to even put in 10 minutes of just quiet meditation by myself, just silent meditation. There was just going to be too much talking. So I found that guided meditations work best. So I would start my morning with a guided meditation, and then I would move on to an EMDR track. And that EMDR track was kind of like a pump up one. So I would get dressed and start my day with that. And then I would have my day. And if I ever needed more pump up, then I'd throw my headphones back in and listen to more of that track because it was kind of a good day track. And then I would at night listen to another EMDR track just in my bed while I'm lying down, relaxing right before I would go to bed. Just again, pop my AirPods in and listen to this track. And then I would actually fall asleep to binaural beats. And I had some various ones that I would listen to. Oh, my hip, sorry. So it would kind of, I knew I needed some good sleep, some deep rest, and so it was a nice way. I found some different tracks that kind of put me into a deeper sleep. So if you'd like links to any of the things that I use, since I actually did have the time to research it, then leave me a comment or send me a message, and I would gladly share those links with you. If you have time to research your own, that's great. But the point is, put the dogma into your doghouse. So wherever you are now, right? Like, we're able to accept that, wow, I'm having this toxic shame. Like, you really got to look at that and really find that moment of acceptance where you go, I'm really going through something here. And then figure out, okay, if I'm going to be in this doghouse, what is the mansion going to look like that I'm going to build, so that if I ever return here, I have something to fall back on. Is it going to be the counseling session? Is it going to be a friend that I call? Is it going to be meditation? Is it going to be journaling? Or is it going to be simply listening? Mine was simply listening. So I found various tracks and I just started listening. And I built the doghouse on these listening tracks. Do I still journal? Yes. Do I set aside time for it? Yes. Do I set aside time every day? No. Do I call my counselor? No. The last time I talked to him, I think, was 2 years ago now. So it was something that I wanted. When I was building my mansion, I went, okay, I want a mansion that is easy to return to, so that in case I ever go through this again, I can go, what I do, I did that. Go right back to that ritual. Go back to that sacredness that I created for myself. And then it became something that was more internal. So now when I'm in that doghouse, whether it's myself that puts me there, or my kids, or husband, or a friend, or anything else, I can go, okay, I'm going to go back to my mansion and take a time out. And then I pull out my ritual and start up my ritual again. So again, if you'd like any of these links, go ahead and message me or leave a comment and I'll share the links with you. But if not, then spend just a moment, when you're driving in your car, and just realize, man, I'm in my toxic doghouse. I'm going to build a mansion from it. Where am I going to start? What am I going to do? What do I want in that mansion that's going to make me feel better about who I am? So, all right, putting the dogma into your doghouse. Have a good day.